Alright everybody, right now what we're going to do is a segment called Undervalued Cards, and I'm doing this separate from the deck building because I think you guys may just want to watch this. We're going to highlight about a dozen cards that I think are, if not completely underrated, are extremely cheap for what they can do, particularly what value they may have in the future with cards coming in Future Sight, with how the metagame is going to be changing, and sometimes they're just so cheap it's worth the $1 or so just to pick up a set in case they get better. So first up, you're looking at Grand Arbiter. The new scry spells in this guy are going to get better and better. Plus, he's still fantastic against Dragonstorm. $1.50 is not a bad deal for this guy at all. Krovax the Ascendant, as of this writing, he is a whole 70 cents. See that there? 70 cents. Now, I've spent $2.10 on a playset of Cardboard Wild Mongrels, let alone 4 rares, which could, at the very least, be excellent in casual, and could very well have block and standard constructed applications. Next we have Imp's Mischief. Now, there look to be some really fantastic black cards in Future Sight, and believe me when I say that this card is about 1,000 times better than it looks. Mechanics like Fate Seal will be extremely painful, and the ability to redirect them, regardless of the loss of life, will be crucial. You can pick up a whole playset for just over $1. Now, Magus of the Coffers is next, and seriously guys, black is going to get really good. And while this guy may not make the cut at 50 cents, he's worth buying a couple copies just to be safe, you know? And next we have Miri the Cursed. Now again, black is going to get so good with Future Sight. So this finally fell to a single $1, and the chance for mono black aggro or some form of mono black control hitting the meta hard is pretty likely. Now Miri was impressive when she first debuted, and now that those coals have cooled, we have a chance to pick her up extra cheap. Up next we have Roiling Horror, which I believe is extremely underrated, because if you are at any sort of life advantage when this guy hits, it's usually a good game. And, you know, if you don't fully understand what he does, plop down $1.50 and try him out. Something with black and red or a mono black aggro block deck just aches for this guy. Up next we have Torchling at a whole 40 cents. There is no Morphling that is better priced. And again, $1.50 for insurance that this may or may not be fantastic one day is worth it to me. Now, Magus of the Scroll, have you seen the new Hellbent land? Guess who lives there? Because at 90 cents a piece, they're a hell of a deal. Gruul and just maybe Red Deck Wins will be back with a vengeance, and Magus is going to be right in there with them. Plague Sliver. Now, if you play block, this guy is an absolute steal. 35 cents to nearly shut down the combo sliver deck before it gets started is about as good as it gets. In constructed, he's still a Juzum Jin, and that's still playable enough as a finisher. This is certainly worth $1 for a set. Now, Trickbind, firstly, at 70 cents, this is not a bad deal at all. It's playable in virtually every format. Secondly, it's one of those cards that needs a little something to make it fantastic. That something may be in Future Sight. But even if it's not, a $3 set of fantastic and extremely usable rares in block and standard is nothing to sneeze at. Now, Vesuvan Shapeshifter, one of the most expensive cards on the list, is easily the most powerful. These are going to get better with virtually every new creature printed. At $3.25, they are going nowhere but up. Get your set today or regret it later when you're shelling out $4.50 to $5 each. Now, Cytoplast Rootkin is up next. At $1.15, this guy is only going to go up. Why? Because Llanowar Reborn is a new land with Graft 1. This means that the Graft archetype is going to get nuts again, and buying this guy cheap will put you above the curve. Up next we have Jin Illuminatus. Now, the new Pact spells are free, and guess which guy makes these instant win combos? Play the Green Pact over and over for free, and then Grape Shop for the win? At 35 cents, these are only going to go up, even if it is just casual territory. Now, Golgari Grave Troll is next. At $1.50, Dredge is about to go prime time, everybody, and has been doing very well in Premier events. Cards like Llanowar Mentor are going to push him way over the top. Get your set before this doubles or triples in price. And lastly, we have 2 dual lands, which I think are extremely underrated right now. We have Overgrown Tune at $8.75, and we've got Temple Garden at $8. Now, this is the same price that I bought my Watery Graves just before Drownu took over the metagame. And now the Graves are $12.50, aren't losing their value anytime soon. And with Dredge and the new Delve, this will be extremely important to have your Overgrown Tombs and probably your Temple Gardens. At the very least, $8 for a dual land. You're always going to play them, and I can almost guarantee they'll be in 10th edition. So those are my recommendations this time, and I hope you learned something, or at the very least saw some cards that may be underrated. And I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks to mtgotraders.com for sponsoring this episode of The Magic Show, and we'll see you next time.